Carlos is a 21-year-old man who lived in a small village in a rural area of Philippines. Growing up in a rural village, Carlos had learned to be resourceful and independent. He spent his days helping his parents tend to their small pig farm. When he's not doing chores, Carlos loved to explore the countryside around his village, climbing trees and wading through streams in search of new adventures. One day, he came across a recipe for a dish that involved raw pig meat in another village. He had eaten raw pork before, and had liked the taste. So, without thinking twice, he decided to give it a try. This time, the taste was a bit different than how it usually tasted, but he thought it was due to food pigs ate in that village. A day after eating, he started to feel nauseated, and started vomiting. He also had diarrhea, abdominal pain, and fever. He thought it was just due to eating too much raw pig after a long time. At that time, his symptoms resolved on their own, and he didn't think much. But one day, he suddenly fell unconscious while working in his farm began to have seizures. A seizure is a violent electrical current flowing through the brain, which is caused due to abnormality in nervous tissue. He woke up after a few minutes of seizures, which left him feeling weak and disoriented. Again after several days, Carlos collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. In the hospital, the doctors ran a series of tests, including CT scan of his brain. In the brain CT, doctors discovered numerous cysts inside his brain. They suspected that he had contracted the infection by eating the raw pig liver. They went to his bed and asked whether he had ever eaten undercooked meat, to which he gave an affirmation. He told the doctors he had felt sick after eating raw pig. Then doctors suspected he had tapeworm infection inside his brain, and ran further tests. After they came positive, doctors diagnosed him with Neurocysticercosis, a parasitic infection caused by the larva of a tapeworm called Taenia solium. Neuro meaning brain, and cyst meaning fluid-filled space. This parasite sometimes travels to the brain and grows inside the fluid-filled spaces. A tapeworm is a parasitic flatworm that lives in the intestines of animals and humans, and can grow up to several meters in length. This parasite lives in the flesh of pigs and transmitted to humans after eating the meat without proper cooking. When the flesh is eaten, the larval cyst goes into the intestine and hatches to form adult worm. These adult worms lay eggs which pass through the feces. Sometimes, the egg may hatch inside the body, and give a larva, which penetrates the intestine and migrates to other parts of the body. Sometimes it may go into the brain and grow inside the brain. This causes inflammation inside the brain and damages nerves. Nerve damage leads to various symptoms, which include seizures, weakness and decreased sensation. The neurocysticercosis had caused damage to Carlos' brain, leading to seizures and paralysis. The doctors gave him phenytoin, which slows down the current flow through his nerves, by inhibiting the voltage-gated sodium channels. This reduces the sodium flow inside his neurons and decrease convulsions. The doctors also gave him an anti-parasitic agents praziquantel and albendazole to kill the tapeworm larva. Furthermore, he was also given corticosteroids to reduce inflammatory reactions caused by killed parasites. He was hospitalized for several weeks, receiving intensive treatment and rehabilitation. However, the damage was severe, and he never fully recovered from the infection. He was left with permanent paralysis on the right side of his body and required extensive physical therapy to regain some of his mobility. Neurocysticercosis, cysticercosis of brain, is the most common and most serious form of cysticercosis. This infection occurs after a person swallows tapeworm eggs. The larvae get into tissues such as muscle and brain, and form cysts there. When cysts are found in the brain, the condition is called neurocysticercosis. Carlos' experience was a cautionary tale about the dangers of eating raw or undercooked meat. He had learned the hard way that his love for exotic foods could have serious consequences. The message we get from Carlos' story is to never consume meat without cooking adequately. Subscribe to my channel for more content. Please support me by hitting that notification bell.